Cinema narcissist. He's gonna smoke some grass. Gonna watch movies and make you laugh. If he does it, he's gonna sell his ass.
Hey everyone, Cinema Narcissist here. One thing that sucks about being autistic is you have this thing called stims. They're basically ways of hiding your weirdness, but like you're still doing the weird stuff. You're trying to blend in more. I'm at an interview, the guy's asking me questions, I have echolalia, so I repeat some words, so right there I'm already looking like a tweaker, I'm like, reliable? Yeah, I'm reliable, I show up, yep, shut the fuck up, clock, you're being too loud, like always just like everything, and I'm nervous, and he can see it, but since autistic tics or stems can be similar to tweakers, I get mistaken for tweaker, I only ever lose it. I mean, I sometimes, I snap like that, but it's usually 95% of the time I lose it on myself because my brain isn't where it needs to be, because I'm underperforming at work, because, I make a mistake, because I'm human. But because I'm autistic, I feel like it happens more, and I feel like every time it happens, I have a mini meltdown, and then people are watching me. They're like, this guy's dangerous. He's going to hurt someone. And it fucking sucks ass, And then, not to mention, looking like a goddamn tweaker and a fucking criminal all the time. I always try to get a girl's number. I get 5 digits. Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of getting out there now. I'm kind of talking to people, but it sucks because now that I know, I tell people, I'm like, hey, yo, I'm on the spectrum. And they're like, oh, that's cool. I know someone who's autistic. That's pretty cool. But what they don't understand is when you finally lose your shit, it's part of being on the spectrum. And people are just like, I don't think I'm going to talk to this guy. He's too fucking sensitive. So now you're isolating me just like everyone else is isolating me, which is making me hate myself and making me spiral out of control. See? So then I lose my shit. I lose my job. I'm the dangerous one. Not the people that have been picking on me for years. Not the people who are pushing my buttons and saying shit. Because whenever I say something to a boss, the boss is always like, I don't know. They're nice to me. I think you're overreacting. So I never get peace because no one ever believes me. And then I lose my shit. And then I lose my job. And, being autistic is a fucking train wreck, but I have a good sense of humor, a really good sense of humor, but at the same time, I can't read emotions, so I piss people off when I chime in and they're being serious about something, or just in general, if I come in a room and ask a question, I'll get yelled at by neurotypical people because I'm a disrespectful piece of shit, right? It is exhausting. I donated $500 during COVID to people who needed it. I'm still always seen as a monster. I'm doing the Nightbreed. This is one of my all-time favorites. And look at that beautiful, sexy. I know it's got that. Some people are like, oh my god, it's got the fucking sticker. I'm so picky because the bottom corner of the fucking box that had no fucking image on it anyway, that's completely blurred out. Oh, shut the fuck up. I didn't actually watch this, but I got it on my TV right now. You can probably see in the corner all that beautiful 4K beautifulness. In my honest opinion, the Shout Factory version, because I watched the theatrical version, and I remember watching that thinking it was a director's version, because I didn't realize that back then they would sometimes only do one version in 4K, not both versions, which is weird, because it's like you'd think that you'd try to get the director's vision in 4K. It makes sense, you know what I mean? So but this is kind of the outcast of the horror. This is a film that Clive Barker made right after making Hellraiser, one of the great horror films. It's about this guy named Boone, played by Craig Sheffer, I want to say. And I gotta say, this motherfucker has got, look at that big ass fucking forehead, dude. Like, this motherfucker's got a big forehead. And I'm not saying this with hate. But, like, I would just love to see him and David Boreanaz go into a turf war and just start slamming heads against each other over a girl. That'd be fucking... I'd pay money to see that shit. You know what I mean? That'd be fucking dope. But, like, he Boone and his girl, Lori, who is not on the cover, which is fucking weird. You know what? I got the Shout Factory cover right here. All right. I kind of can't see her, but she's right there, Lori. Yeah, that's blurry as fuck. You probably don't see it, but she's not really my cup of tea. But watching in 4K, she does have beautiful eyes. Like, holy shit, her eyes are gorgeous. So I can see the appeal there. She's a little small for me. The littler girls, the girls that I think I would relate with better, because, like, I'm not always high energy. I can get high energy. I'm like a dog. I'm like, yay, someone's here, someone likes me, they're giving me a chance. And then I calm the fuck down and I become normal, and I'm like, all right, I'm too stimulated, I'm gonna go in my room and read a book now. Like, I'm not always that clingy, but women always think I am. And women like that, little people like that, they're terrified of guys like me. Terrified. Because what am I going to do to him, right? And so I kind of feel like these outcasts. Like, I belong, but I feel like the world doesn't know that I belong with them, because I'm always trying to blend in, and the world just sees me as just a weird straight white man that loses his shit. And it's like, that's not exactly the case. I love everyone. I always have loved everyone. And, like, I've always liked this movie. Now, when I watched the 4K of the director's cut on Shout Factory, I didn't love it. I watched that shit and I said, what the fuck happened to the movie that I thought was great? Like, what the fuck is this shit? And I did some research and I'm like, oh, okay. And the 4K, I'm sorry, Shout Factory. I love Shout Factory. I mean, look at this bitch. Look at it. That right there. That's all Shout, well, mostly all Shout Factory. I got other shit. You can see Severins and Synapses and shit, but it's all Shout Factory up there. And then Shout Factory, and then Scream Factory. And I got a bunch of posters, which I'm probably going to be getting rid of a bunch. And basically, I'm not saying this with hate towards Shout Factory. The theatrical version, only in 4K. And they took away so much grain, at least to me. But it could have been that I was high and I was just paranoid and shit. But, like, again, I started watching this yesterday, and this looks fucking amazing. So I think it is much better than the Shout Factory. Shout Factory looked like a bunch of people in monster makeup, whereas the Arrow version, they cleaned it up as well as they can, and they make it look like a movie again. There's some moments, obviously, where you can see they're wearing makeup or whatnot. It's always gonna show, always. I mean, fucking some of the best horror films have shit that looks cheesy. Even the Thing, the head with the spider legs, you can tell that's a rubber head. But, like, it's still an amazing fucking film. So, like, you could get past it. But, like, the Shout Factory version was just bad. Too much taken out. And I love Shout Factory, and their 4Ks are great. And the Blu-ray of Nightbreed was enjoyable. This is one of my favorite films for what it could have been. This is, in my opinion, this is like the Blade Runner of horror. Like, this shit was intentionally meant to be a trilogy. And it was I don't know. I have not seen the original. No one has, except whoever the fuck edited it, maybe Clive. But like, no one has seen that shit. But like, it's amazing. And this guy right here, this guy, he's the protagonist. He wants to kill all the Nightbreed. So he's basically man. We come in, we kill all the natives, we take over. God, I might get canceled for this, but that's kind of like that's pretty much what it is. He wants to kill all the misunderstood people. He wants to kill everyone that doesn't fit in. I'm not a fucking political person, but shit, some of you can maybe say, hey, that's the president, and if you do, cool, keep me out of it. I don't want to be part of it. I'm not even going to tell anyone my political views. Actually, I don't have political views. I just want to coexist, but like, these things are badass. This is it's kind of an action film, but it's also a horror film, but it's definitely a love film. If you watch a theatrical version, you will get none of that. You will get a slasher film with monsters in the background, and you will ask yourself, what the fuck did I just watch? And then you're going to be like, that cinema narcissist has bad taste. You need to watch the director's cut. Or if you can get the hands on it, but I can't even get my hands on it. But if you're made of money, you go to eBay and buy the Cabal cut from someone. I think that cut is like 140 minutes, so it's a little longer than the director's cut. But it's not the best version. Or you could always try to hunt down the ultimate Cabal cut, which actually I watched a couple weeks ago just because my brain I'm so pissed off that they never finished it. My brain is like, I want to know what happens next. I know there's comics. I'm keeping my eyes open for like them to release like a compendium, and then I'll probably buy it. But like, I'm not gonna spend $15 for each comic that's been out for like 30 years and they're not that big of comic. I'm not spending $15. If they're worth money, I might throw the money down, but I'm not going to do that for 10 minutes of fun. Speaking of, I got to go to the comic shop. I got some sagas to pick up. It's a clusterfuck, and it's hard to explain. It is a really fucking hard movie to explain without really like going into it, because like you kind of gotta go into the film to get to what the film's about. But then I ruined half the film, and then everyone's like, oh, how dare you, because nobody gives a fuck about the ride. They just get pissed off that they know the destination. Like, stop caring. Who cares? I'm autistic as fuck. I'm always gonna ruin shit. I'm sorry, but like, I don't really ruin shit. Like, I might ruin little things here and there. I'm not gonna ruin the ending of Psycho. Like, I'll ask if you know the ending of Psycho, and if you don't, we're gonna watch that shit, because it's fucking awesome to watch people be like, what the fuck? I did one of my favorites for what it could be. It has its flaws because they butchered it, because they did the Blade Runner technique, and they just chopped it up and made it smaller, and they took out any of the Nightbreed, the Misfits life, and they made it a slasher with monsters in the background. And the monsters are the good guys. They're still monsters. They're still dangerous. They're still deadly. But it's like a yin and yang thing. We need the good with the bad. So it is a very beautiful film. I don't really go for allegories. Allegories aren't really my thing, because I'm autistic. I'm very fucking, I'm simple. Okay, I'm simple. So I'll just give you, I understand that it's an allegory for the LGBTQ community, but as someone who has never fit in, even when he was around people, someone who is always disappointing people in his life, always. I don't think that I have ever gotten close to someone without burning the bridge. Like, I get how it is to be a misfit, and this is a 4-star film. in my opinion. It is flawed. It has its flaws, but for what it's trying to be, for what the director originally wanted it to be, for the fact that this could have been one of the greatest horror trilogies of all time, because it's that epic. I give it 4 joints. You know, it's fucking amazing. It is beautiful. The restoration looks great. I would recommend the Arrow version if you're not gonna be a little baby about the sticker on the front. You know, if you are, don't get it and just stick with the subpar Shout Factory 4K. And the only way to watch it in 4K is the theatrical version, which makes absolutely no sense because they took all this backstory out, you know. I recently also watched the 3-hour uncut Cabal version, just to get a little more closure. For die-hard Nightbreed fans, I recommend checking that shit out. There was a lot of stuff in it that I understand for pacing reasons it wasn't good, but for wanting to know what he was going for wanting to see more of this underworld that he has created, shit that has been destroyed, or it's just the elements are not good enough to put into a 4K because they're off of VHS. They did like a everything in the kitchen sink kind of a thing with it. So I don't recommend it as a viewing experience. If you want to watch Nightbreed, watch a 2-hour director's cut. It might make you nostalgic because they did leave it open for sequels, and they never did sequels. And Clive Barker is getting older, and I don't think he's in the best health right now. Last time I checked, so like it's we might not ever see his vision. But I think his vision needs to be respected because it is a beautiful story. And I highly recommend it. The makeup is great. Everything is great. Check out the 3-hour version if you want to see more of the monsters designs and what Midian looks like more depth to it and a little bit more history with the characters. Like there's a scene where he tells Lori that he has always loved her, and she said, "What about before you knew me?" And he said, "Even then." And I'm like, okay, that was cheesy as fuck, but for a movie, for you to understand the depth of their love, I think that could have that could have helped the story more. It could have helped the connection between him and Lori, so that the love story in the director's cut would have looked a little better. That's one of the few scenes from that I think would have worked. But it was a VHS quality and there was no audio, so it's not like they could have done anything with it, you know. It was not the original elements. So I understand why it's not. I do think that would have helped a lot better because I love the characters even more. You know, all right, everyone, that's enough for now. I cut my rant short. I am Cinema Narcissist. You can call me Tim. And I like to snort my antidepressants to feel more alive.
Like and subscribe.